Hey, sister, come on in. Pull up a chair. Welcome to our very first Front Porch Conversation. You've already heard a little bit about why I created Live Out Loud, so I'm not going to tell you that story all over again. Instead, I want to start these 7 days talking about the person who really matters in this conversation. You. Because something brought you here. Maybe you're in a season of change. Maybe you've spent much time taking care of everybody else. Then lately you found yourself wondering, okay, what about me? Maybe there's a dream you started thinking about again. Maybe something in your life doesn't fit the way it used to, or maybe life is actually good. You're grateful. You're doing well. But there's still this little whisper inside of you saying, there's more. And I want you to know something from the very beginning. You don't have to be falling apart to want something different. You don't have to have a crisis before you're allowed to grow. Sometimes we're not starting over. We're starting again with everything we know now. So before we spend these next few days talking about where you're going, I want to start with a much simpler question. Where are you right now? Some of you have already taken the Live Out Loud archetype quiz, and if you have, wonderful. But some of you haven't. And if that's you, this is the perfect time. You'll find the link right here with today's conversation. Take the quiz, and then come on back. And sister, don't overthink those results. Your archetype isn't a label. It's not a box we're putting you in. Think of it more like your GPS saying, you are here. That's it. It's a starting point. Because before we can figure out where we want to go, we have to be willing to get honest about where we are. What season am I in? What's asking for my attention and what's changing? What am I ready for? And maybe, what am I ready to leave behind? That's where the real journey begins. And that's where something you're going to hear a lot around Live Out Loud comes in. Our 4 R's. Rise, renew, reclaim, and reimagine. These aren't just 4 pretty words. There are ways we move through different seasons of our lives. Sometimes we need to rise. We know it's time to take the next step, even if we're a little afraid. Sometimes we need to renew. Something in us needs refreshing, and maybe it's our thinking, our energy, our faith, our relationships, maybe even our relationship with ourselves. Sometimes we need to reclaim our voice. Sometimes we need to reclaim our confidence, our dreams, our boundaries, our joy. Parts of ourselves may have been put down somewhere along the way, and sometimes we need to reimagine. We need to give ourselves permission to ask, what else could my life look like? What's still possible for me? And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to know which one you need now or which one you need today. You may need a little bit of all 4. That's part of what we're going to discover together. And that word together is important because, yes, you can read another book. You can listen to another podcast. You can watch another video, but there's something powerful that happens when women start conversating together. Sometimes another woman says something and you think, oh my goodness, I thought that was just me. Sometimes another sister was already walked through the thing you're just entering. Sometimes her courage gives you courage. And sometimes you're the woman carrying the wisdom another sister needs. That's why this is a sisterhood. Not because any of us has all the answers, but because none of us has to figure out everything alone. Now, before we finish today, I want to introduce you to something else that's going to be a part of our language around here. We call it the light work. And before you get all nervous, no, I'm not giving you homework. The light work is simply the small, intentional work that we do today to move toward the life and the woman we're becoming. Because sometimes we decide we want something different. We immediately think we've got to change everything. Our health, our relationships, our finances, and our habits. What about our careers? Our whole life. And just think about all of those things becomes overwhelming. And sometimes because we feel that overwhelm, we end up doing what? Nothing. We're not doing that here. The light work might be answering one question honestly, writing one sentence in your journal, or making one phone call, taking a walk, having a conversation, setting a boundary, saying a prayer, or simply getting quiet long enough to listen. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing something. A little today, a little tomorrow, and one day you'll look up and you'll realize, I've moved. And here's what I love about the light work. It's how we begin to live those 4 R's. We rise by taking the step. We renew by making room for something different. We reclaim what we've lost or what we've laid down. And we reimagine what's still possible. So, that's where I want you to begin today. Your first light work is simple. I want you to sit down with this sentence in your head. In this season of my life, I am, and you finish it. Don't make it pretty. Don't make the answer that you think you're supposed to give, right? Just make it true. You'll find your coming home journal here, right here in this conversation. And throughout the 7 days, that's your space. You don't have to take notes on everything. Just capture what speaks to you. A thought, a question, a prayer, something you just don't want to forget. And if you feel comfortable, there's also a place for you to take today's discovery into the sisterhood. You don't have to tell everybody your whole life story. Maybe you simply share one thing I discovered today about myself is, you fill in the blank. Because sometimes the beginning of sisterhood is simply having another woman say, hear you, hear me too. So that's enough for today, sis. You showed up. And today you gave yourself permission to ask, where am I? Tomorrow we're going to take what we've discovered and ask a different question. What's my next step? Tomorrow we rise. And until then, keep your journal close. Pay attention to what comes up, and remember, we're saving you a seat. And I'll see you at the front porch tomorrow.